All right, what do we got here? I got something really cool to show you. Um, Now, what do we got in this cheap old, and I mean old, fake alligator uh, cardboard guitar case? What do we got in there? Well, do we have any 65 or 70-year-olds in the audience? Because if we do, this may have been your first guitar, if you were lucky. Yeah, actually, it's falling apart. See, it's all falling apart because this thing is 55 years old. And I'm 55 years old, and I'm kind of falling apart myself. So, if you're older than I am, can you imagine 65 or 70 years old? My goodness. It's kind of sad, isn't it? Time really goes. What happened to all those classic rockers? Are they still playing guitar? Those classic rockers who were there when it all happened. A music which now they killed and removed from existence. But in 1964, if you were like 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, you would have seen this new thing come on. This was after Elvis, and even more wilder music came on board, and they were bringing these people over from England, these young guys with funny haircuts, and you thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and you heard everywhere, you heard the chime of guitars, guitar sounds, guitars everywhere. And we're not talking about simulated guitars that we have now. We're not talking about digital technology. We're not talking about faux guitar sounds, fakery, pretense. We're talking about the real thing. We're talking about a hunk of wood with some strings on it wrapped around these tuners, which you turned, and if you're smart enough and talented enough, you could actually tune a guitar back in 1964, and you plugged into some crappy little amplifier or your father's tube radio, and you made some sounds which were terrible, which sounded terrible, and not like the sounds that the Beatles and all those other bands were making back then, at the same time as you were playing in your garage. But first you needed a guitar, so you went to your mother, and your mother, you said to her, Mom, I've got my birthday coming up. And then your mom in the kitchen, because back then women were in the kitchen. Yeah, and they had babies, and they had husbands, and all that crazy old outdated stuff. Women actually reproduced at that time, 1964. But little did you know in 64 that the world was being destroyed It was on its way to being destroyed. But you didn't care about that. You didn't know that. Nobody knew that world is going to come to an end. And young women were going to not be in the kitchen. They're going to be on the internet and doing porn and that sort of thing. I mean, that's the modern liberated woman. Of course, that's the way to go. But, back then, all you wanted to do is get a guitar. So you went to your mom and you said, Mom, well, she said to you, what would you like, Johnny, for your birthday? And you said, well, I only want one thing, Mom, but I really want it bad. Well, what is that? I want an electric guitar. And your mom says, well, what is that? Is that some new guitar you have to plug into the wall? And you said, no, I don't think so. You plug it into this radio thing with a speaker in it, and you plug that into the wall. And your mom says, well, Johnny, I mean, I don't want you to get electrocuted or something. I mean, it sounds dangerous. And then you said, no. You seen those boys on TV, and they were playing the new type of music. It's different from Elvis, and it's really modern. And they all have electric guitars, and I want to learn and I want to play music like them. And your mom said, oh, those boys. Well, I certainly don't want you to be like those boys. Because they look awful, those boys. They're up to no good. Those boys are up to no good. They're going to, well, she wouldn't use these words, but she was thinking it, that they were going to corrupt you. They're going to corrupt you. And she was right. Little did anybody know how right your mom was. Gut instincts, gut feelings, I guess. But anyway, so you said to your mom, if you're 65 or 70 years old right now, you said to your mom, well, it's all I want, and I really want it. I really want an electric guitar. I just think it's so, well, you wouldn't use the word cool because it wasn't invented yet. That came a little bit later with the development of the counterculture, the cultural revolution, which was a wonderful thing, as we all know. I mean, look where it got us. But aside from all that, what was wholesome is that you, old dude, you wanted to play the guitar. You didn't want a smartphone. You wanted an electric guitar. Which, wow, I love that. Smartphone I don't love. So your mom says, okay, but I don't want you to make a lot of noise. And if it's gonna be louder than Dad's radio, then you're gonna have to go out in the garage and play it there, okay? And you would say, yeah, no, not a problem, Mom. I will do that. And I guess that's what you did, and you formed a band with some other boys on the street because every boy in the street was doing the same thing and playing the electric guitar. None of them had smartphones, and none of them were watching porn. So what else is there to do? You actually chase girls, and you make out with girls. Believe it or back then, it was that was allowed back then. Making out with girls. Now you'll you'll land in jail for sure. Your whole life will be ruined. But back then, you made out with girls, and then that led to one thing or another, and then you ended up getting married, and then you ended up having a baby, and then forming a family and having another baby and another baby. And it's a funny thing how that kind of works out. It kind of works out pretty well. The end result is well, it's the rule of nature, the rule of God. It's really wholesome and natural, and the way it was meant to be. All has to, starts with electric guitars and making out with girls, and then getting married, having a baby, and buying a house where you have more babies, and then you wake up one day and you're 65 years old or 70 years old. Funny how that works out, but anyway, did we get off track here? Did we get off topic? No, I don't think we did, because everything is connected, of course. So, what's in the case? Well, let's take a peek here. Let's take a peek. Whoa, look at that. Now, you guys are all guitar experts. I know you are. You guys are guitar experts, and you know exactly what this is. This is an original Dan Electro model Pro 1. Why it's called a Pro 1, I have no idea. It's all original. And what happened is the only store that your mom knew was Sears, because back then Sears was the number one store. Boy, those were the days. You could buy everything at Sears, and it's pretty good quality stuff. Even when I was a teenager, we could go to Sears and buy, I remember I got a Pentax camera there, and really high-end stuff, stereos. And, well, as with many things, Sears is gone. And the 65 and 70-year-olds are barely with us. But smartphones are going strong, and so is 5G. So hang in there for that. But so here it is, Dan Electro Pro 1, and talk about Sears. The reason I brought up Sears is because it was easy for your mom to take you to Sears, and even people my age, we used to go to Sears with our moms. There weren't too many single moms back then. Now it's the norm. But it's funny how they improved the world, didn't they? Man, they did a good job. Man, a thorough job at improving, healing the world. So you went down to Sears, and you could actually buy these at Sears. These Dan Electrodes. Except that I believe at Sears they were called Silvertones, so they only changed the logo on there. Same thing. And what you really wanted a sparkle finish, so you got a sparkle finish with this one. And it's an ugly brown sparkle finish, and it's made of masonite, and it's hollow inside. but it's got no F-hole in it. And this is all original, and it's got the appliance knobs. I mean, your mom had these knobs on her blender or stove or something. And then you had the lipstick pickup, which was, this thing is as cheap as you could get. This was back when everything was manufactured in America. And at that time it started to change, of course. It was already starting to change. But up to this time, everything was made in America, including from the cheapest, junkiest crap to the highest quality connoisseur items. And this was one of these cheap items, but made in New Jersey. And you could buy it at Sears, and you could buy it anywhere. And well, not anywhere. But I don't know if they didn't have many music stores back then, but they had some. And as you can see, whoever owned this kind of hacked up the headstock there. I don't know, they were fighting. They were hitting it up against the wall or something. It still plays. It's pretty well. It plays like it ever did originally, but it's very difficult to play because it's such a short scale length and it's made for little kids. Look at this. You know what that is? That's a spike neck joint. Isn't that something? They were using it back then. 2 bolts holding the neck with a spike. And, you know, of course, I'm doing the same thing, and I've been doing it for years now, but I've taken it to a whole new level and really developed it into a professional instrument, of course. But yeah, so you went down to Sears or Kmart or whatever, JCPenney, whatever, and you bought one of these, or even your local hardware store that also was selling some musical instruments back then, and you bought one of these. Well, your mom bought it for you, and you brought it home, and you had no idea what to do with it, but you were on your way. You were on your way to be a rocker, and now you're 65 or 70 years old. And so is, well, this guitar is now 55. Most likely this is a 1964. I don't know how to verify that, but look at the stamped steel bridge. Very simple. It works. Oh, I need perfect intonation. Like, fuck you do. This works. This works great. What doesn't work on this guitar is it's not meant for, well, I don't know what it's meant for. It's a toy. It's a toy, but at the same time, it is so cool. It is so cool that I had a dream. As somebody once said, I had a dream. And I'll tell you what my dream was. Well, before we go any further, let's just find out the scale length of this thing, okay? I'm kind of curious myself. So you put it up to the nut, and you put it up to the high E string, and you get, let's do it in inches. Holy sheep shit. This is like 23 and 1/3/8. 23 inches and 3/8. That's a short scale. It's you know, about oh, look at the metric equivalent of it. Metric equivalent of 595 millimeters. That's 59.5 centimeters, or 23 and 3/8 or so. So it's hard to play because of scale length. The other thing that's really makes it hard to play is that the neck joins the body at like the 12th fret. I mean, come on, please. And it only has 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 frets. All right. And when I make a guitar, I go to 24 or 26 frets. So I had a dream! And my dream was... Now, I owned this guitar for about 15 years now. I bought it exactly the way you see it. I didn't do anything with it. I didn't play it. I couldn't really play it. It's more like a museum piece. It's a relic. Takes you back to a different world. But I absolutely loved the look of it. Absolutely loved the look of it. I think my original, very first body style, the Zachary Z1, is loosely based on the shape as well. Okay, but the dream I had is I wanted to make this guitar as close as possible in looks, but make it into a modern, high-performance guitar, professional guitar with no equal, as all Zachary guitars are. And it's exactly what I did. It's exactly. Finally, I just kept stalling and waiting, and I didn't quite know how to do it because there was a lot of challenges involved. You know, if I was to change the layout here, how the neck joins the body, and I'm going to change some of the look of it. Okay, it's not going to quite look the same, and I didn't know if I had to move the whole neck out along with the bridge. I had to increase the scale length. If I move the bridge up with the whole neck up so you can have some high fret access, what you're going to do is the bridge is going to overlap the pick guard, but I had to have the exact same shape pick guard. I wanted to keep the vibe. I wanted to keep the exact shape of the body, of course. This time it's not going to be a Z1. It's going to be as exact as I could possibly get it. But I want it to be a first-rate professional guitar, handmade. And so a lot of challenges there, all right? And they even had a reissue of this thing a few years ago, and apparently they did nothing but reissue the whole thing, put a modern bridge on it. The neck still joined at the same place. You know, and of course it wasn't popular because it had still the same liabilities as this original one does, and I wanted to change all that. I wanted to be a guitar that would be a person's number one guitar for any type of playing. So that's what I did. Oh, by the way, before we go any further, this is the material that this thing is made of. It's masonite, you know. You can buy it at your local hardware store, building store. I don't know what thickness it is, but it's this stuff here. So the body, and so as cheap as possible, but American made. American made, people. So, here you go. There you go. Beautiful. So, here's my dream come true. I finally did it after about 15 years. I finally did it. And there it is. It's the Zachary Dano Pro. And I did it. 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 So, kept the vibe, kept the look, figured out how to best do it, how to take care of that challenge, and you know, kept the original pickguard shaped, kept the original body shaped, moved the neck out, gave it a what scale length is this? I don't even know. Let's see. I forget what scale length did I give it? I believe it's a Gibson scale. Yeah, as we discussed in the previous video, it's just a little bit over 24 and a half, which is 624 millimeters. Gibson, it's like your vintage Gibson Les Paul, and kept the same control positions, just one master volume, three-way Les Paul switch, input jack in the same place. What can I tell you? Solid mahogany body, mahogany neck, African mahogany that is, sapel, and 26 frets to get my large and stable neck joint area. 24 is right here, and then it goes 25, 26. Very big, very tall, stainless steel frets, ebony fingerboard. Now, ebony is getting pretty rare to find these days, right? It was everywhere a few years ago. I must point out that I only make compound radius fingerboards, and this particular one happens to be 9 inches radius at the nut and 12 inches radius at the 26th fret. So it's not severely compound, but still compound. And what can I tell you? Oh, the pickups are awesome. Oh my god. My own pickups, hand wound, scatter wound, and Alnico 5 magnets, P90 pickups, Alex wound, and they're very powerful. They're going to blow away most humbuckers. That's how powerful they are. Specifically speaking, these P90s, the neck is got an Alnico 3 magnet, and it's 8,000 ohms resistance. The bridge is got an Alnico 5, and it's 11K ohm resistance, meaning that it's quite powerful and always have to make the bridge pickup considerably hotter than the neck pickup in order for them to balance in terms of volume on the guitar. And this is what vintage guitars and vintage makers did not pay attention to. They just made the same pickup. They made hundreds of them, and they reached into a basket, pulled them out at random, and put them either in the neck or the bridge position. These two P90s then, so 8K is pretty hot. I mean, it's standard, really, on the hot side for a P90. But then that goes in the neck position. And then the bridge being at 11K, it ends up being a hot set of P90s. And in relation to each other, they are wound, reverse wound and reverse polarity to each other. So that means that when you are using both pickups together, like when, let's say, I'm trying to mimic the out of phase type of tone of a Strat, and I'm using both P90s together, playing Stevie Ray Vaughan's Lenny or something like that, then these pickups being reverse wound and reverse polarity, they will act like a humbucker, only one used together. And the noise, the single coil noise, will drop quite substantially. So, in terms of the pickups, in terms of P90 pickups, you can't get anything better than this. And this is the back of it. As you can see, nice tuners. Serial number 240219, the 24th day of the second month of 2019. And there you go. There you go. A lot of pictures up on the website. It's got its own page, like all guitars do. 4-bolt neck with the spike neck joint. This is a one-piece mahogany body, by the way, which is also hard to find these days, unless you're paying an arm and a leg for a custom shop. And I picked out a real good pickguard material. I think that's really cool, cheesy and cool, the way the vibe of this guitar should be. It was super hard to make that pickguard, if you can imagine. I wanted to keep the exact same shape, but there's tons of those cutouts, and then it's got to be all perfect, all the curves, and the bridge overlaps the pickguard. So if you've got no connection in this day of Chinese-made mass production, if you got no connection to actually making anything, producing anything, creating anything, you may not realize how difficult something is to make by hand. And what else can I tell you? It plays like a dream, plays super low action, and it's for high performance playing. The bridge is, fabulous bridge. I used to use all the time. I still have some left. Made in Germany, the bridges. Just a joy to have your hand over. And so there you go. There you go, there you go, there you go. I don't know what else I can tell you about it. Oh yeah, I added the contouring, which the original, of course, never had. Contouring here. Oil finish, of course, never plastic. If you have a plastic guitar, you should be ashamed of yourself. You probably got it for $275, along with a super figure top on it, and a Floyd Rose tremolo, and all the bells and whistles, all for $275! Shame on you. Shame on you. One thing you have to learn, okay, and if you take away anything from what I say, is remember, you cannot save on a guitar. You cannot do it. You can spend little money and get a guitar that you don't like. That'll always feel artificial to you. It'll never feel organic, and you won't know why the fuck you hate playing it. And you've saved yourself money, right? No, you have not. No, you have not. So, contouring here, of course. So it's very comfortable. And the neck now joins at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17th fret, as opposed to the 13th fret. So you can get up here. You can get up here, all the way up to the 26th fret. And that's the way it goes. Single piece mahogany quarter sawn neck. Super fast. No plastic. No plastic. If you play a plastic guitar, you should be copulating with a plastic sex doll also. You have to stay consistent, people. It's something people never did in 1964. But now, since everybody has been freed, that's what you have to resort to. Plastic guitars and artificial plastic sex dolls. So, with that positive note, I'll show you what it sounds like. Thanks for watching.
Wow.
play my own composition. That's it. Switch over to the neck. So if you thought this guitar was cool, well, you've seen nothing yet. Wait till you see what I have for you next time. Thanks again. See you soon.